Assalamu alaikum, shalawama, Islam to all the Moors. Welcome to the free astrotheology course. I am Dr. Yasapa from Zion Law School. Again, welcome. We are still on Virgo Paritura. So let's pick it back up where we left off. Page 100 and page 139. That's where we're going to pick up at. But regarding the title, Paritura. All right, Virgo Paritura. This sermon, this lecture, was given at the Rotunda. This is in London on Blackfriars Road, February 6, 1831. All right. And again, we're in the Devil's Pulpit right now. The Devil's Pulpit by Robert Taylor, published in 1857. But you notice that this lecture was given in 1831. All right. So, to begin, I'm going to read something from page 138. So, Virgo Paritura. Whence this virgin of the Zodiac, without any contradiction, without any absurdity, was worshipped by the ancient Sabians. Now, I told y'all I disagree with that completely. They were studied. Virgo, the stars that make up Virgo, well, all of the heavens, our ancient ancestors, the Saba Moors, the Sabian Moors, studied through observation and calculation, and probably experimentation, and who knows what else they were doing. But it was not worship. All right, it was not worship. This whole worship stuff didn't come in until the transfer or the shift was made from the circumpolar zodiacal projection to the solar or ecliptical zodiacal projection, which is the template of all religions. All right, of all religions. All right, so that in itself makes it clear. Now he continues. Under the characteristic epithet of Virgo Paritura, that is, the virgin that shall bring forth. The virgin that shall bring forth. Because it is really and physically the month of August, which brings forth the fruits of the earth. So this would be the barley and the wheat harvest, the initial harvest, right? And for the fruitfulness of which expectation waits. So in other words, the whole world is waiting. All the men and women are waiting for autumn to bring in their harvest, okay? Everybody's waiting for it. Through all the circulating year. In other words, the entire year, the purpose of the entire year is the harvest. So the climactic point or time of the year is the harvest. Everything that happens is for the purpose of having a harvest. Okay, y'all? This is what he's saying. So page 139. Hence, though a pure virgin, that is, most likely a fire virgin. So we already know what that's going, right? Fire, sun, star, constellations, groups of stars. That is, a virgin whose Form is made up of those bright fires, those bright stars, which stud the starry bosom of the night. She is yet the tender mother of all animal. She is the mother of all animal life, who provides the food on which we are to be sustained throughout the year. Now, I mentioned yesterday about this notion of men eating flesh. It wasn't like that in the beginning. We were to eat herbs and fruits, right? But anyway, y'all keep that in mind. But we know for a fact that the hybrid does prefer animal flesh. And if the accounts are true, you know, what we read, when they came over to the Americas, they were eating dead people. They were cannibals and, you know, all of these things. But even I know from my experience, I've seen people who eat bloody meat. They prefer bloody meat. Have y'all ever met people like that or seen people like that? You've been in a restaurant or work with people who, you know, you go to lunch or dinner with them and then they order a rare steak and they want it pink and bloody? Eesh. But anyway, it's one thing to acquire a taste for meat, but it's a whole other thing if you desire it, right? I mean, if that's you naturally. All right. But anyway, let's keep it going. So who is Virgo? Who provides the food on which we are to be sustained throughout the year? So whatever a man soweth, that is what he shall reap. So during the summer months, those months when the summer rains, remember from March 22nd, the sun ascends, passes over the celestial equator. That's the first crucifixion, right? The sun passes over, the sun crosses above, okay? First crucifixion, Passover for the Jews, the first Sunday after the first day of spring, if I remember correctly, is Easter. All right, is Easter. So, the religion I used to be in, I think they called it the Lord's evening meal. So now, the Escheat sun, exactly at that point, the vernal means spring, the spring equinox, that's Aries, the zodiac sign Aries, the Lamb of God. So JC, Jesus, the Lamb of God, right? He returns into and brings forth, ushers in his kingdom, restores life, right, y'all? Restores life and health from September 22nd, the strong grip of spring restores plant life. All right? Restores plant life. And so those dead plants will rise up, right? I think C.M. Bay said perpendicular. All right? By the strong grip of the lion's paw. All right? So now we're in the kingdom of the heavens, where it begins with 12 hours of daylight and 12 hours of darkness at the vernal equinox. Every day, the number or the amount of sunlight increases. And let me rephrase that. The length of daytime increases, and the length of nighttime decreases. All right, so we're in the kingdom of heaven and everything is growing. Everything has been resurrected back to life by the strong grip of the lion's paw, which is the strong grip of springtime. Right? Nobody can change that. We get to the summer solstice. That's the day of the year that has the maximum number of daylight hours. All right? The S-U-N sun becomes the Christ, takes on the title of the Christ. All right? Which is the higher self in man or consciousness. It is the higher self. And then after the summer solstice, on June 25th, exactly at the very beginning of June 25th, the sun begins to fall. And the number of daylight hours begin to decrease. And nighttime hours increase. And then when we get to September 22nd, we're back to 12 hours of daylight and 12 hours of night. All right, that's concrete. You can see it. And that's where the abstract concept of justice comes from. And what is it? Jesus is code word for justice. Everybody see what's happening here? And then once the sun falls below or crosses below, once the S-U-N sun crosses below, is crucified, crosses below the fall or autumnal equinox, the number of nighttime hours begin to increase. Well, they continue to increase until it's more than 12 hours of night. Y'all follow? And hence the Prince of Darkness begins to reign. The S-U-N sun, Christ, is not only crucified, but this whole time while the sun is falling, Christ is being humiliated because the sun can't do anything to change it. The sun can't keep itself at 15, 16, 17, 12 hours of daylight. It has no option but to continue to fall. So the Prince of Peace is overtaken by the Prince of Darkness. All right, y'all, on September 22nd of every year, until ultimately Christ dies on December 21st, which is the winter solstice, which is the day of the year where there is the maximum number of daylight hours and maximum number of nighttime hours at the winter solstice, December 21, and fewest number of daylight hours of the whole year. And the sun stops casting a shadow on the sundial. The whole year, it casts a 1 degree shadow on the sundial. But on December 21, it stops. So Christ is dead for 3 days. Christ is in hell for 3 days. And then on December 25th, the exact beginning of December 25th, Christ is either born again or a new son is born. All right, y'all, depending on what your doctrine is. Anyway, that's how it goes. So this is a constant battle of good and evil. So the kingdom of heavens are those months of the year. They refer to them as the summertime months, which would be spring and summer. I'm sorry, summer and spring. Okay, so from August 22nd all the way to September 22nd. All right. Why did I get into that discussion? So whatever a man sowed, that is what he shall reap. So in the springtime, you're supposed to cultivate and plant, build, right? Prepare for what? Prepare your storehouses with fruit and vegetables, canned goods and everything else, right? Grains, so that you can make it through the winter safely. And then you can also have seed. You can also have seed to plant for the following year. All right, and that seed is where the Catholic Church got its doctrine for tithing. Because in nature, the people kept 10% of their seed to plant for the next year. It was like giving back to God. Now, I got that from Jordan Maxwell. All right. Where he got it from, I don't know. He didn't say. But it makes total sense, right? You keep 10% of your seed so you can plant it the next year. But anyway, when these religions took over, instead of seed, the Catholic Church said you need to give 10% of your money. 10% of whatever you got. Man, I should have went to the store and got some type of mosquito repellent. Y'all see it? And so that's where the Saturn comes. That's where the modern day tithing comes from. But even in the Bible, the tithing was only fruit and vegetables, and you would give money if you had no way to transport your fruit and grain, right? Then you would give money, but it wasn't required. And it was to feed people. It was to feed people. It wasn't to enrich the church, right? Or the ecclesiastical class, the priestly class. It's not what it was for. Anyway, so whatever a man sow, that's what he shall reap. Literally. Okay? Literally. So C.M. Bay talked about our sowing. He said we should not rely on anybody else to provide for us in terms of our education, right? That's what he said. Y'all remember we went through that in the class just before this one. I read it right out of the Clock of Destiny. So whatever a man sow, that he shall reap. So if you rely on someone else to educate you, especially about science and engineering, you are agreeing you're going to put yourself, or you put yourself in hell. Now I tell y'all, in the U.S., in their school system, in their society, if you can call it that, they teach about equality, right? Every man and woman are equal. Doesn't matter what color you are, what country you come from. Well, let me tell you, y'all, that's not true. That's the furthest thing from the truth. When you go to another country, you will find out quickly that you are not equal to them. And they will team up against you, no matter how right you are. No matter what the injustice, they will team up against you because you're a foreigner. Right? You're a foreigner. And it's their land, and that's their mindset. There's no equality at all. There's no equality amongst men and women when you go to these foreign countries. None whatsoever. All right? So those notions, they're just made up, and they go against nature. They go against nature. But anyway, let's see. Let's keep going. And I'm telling y'all, that's just the fact. That is the fact. All right? I don't care where you go. Unless, of course, it's a country where they want to push this equality thing, let's say like UK, where what? They've stolen everything, and they're there. The indigenous people are still there. They were not successful with killing them off. All right, so now everything is supposed to be equal so that the schemes that they do can look like they're not schemes, so that they can look authoritative, uh, just, and everything else by telling you you're the problem. Everything here is equal. You're the problem. You don't learn, right? You don't learn well. You do this and you do that. You commit all these crimes. Well, no. All of that is fake, and they make it up. They create the conditions for it. And even then, it might just be a little thing, but they blow it up on the news, right? They create a narrative so that you will never become, what is the word? What is the word when you become angry, y'all? Just anger. What is that called? Indignant. So that you will never become indignant. You will always blame yourself. Right? You always blame yourself. But worse than that, you won't take the side of your own people. Y'all see, it's a mind game. You will never unify. Why? Because you're trying to be equal. Right? You're trying to be equal, and you bought into the notion that they are equal. I mean, they're just, they're right. And you and your people are the problem. When nature tells you, if you were connected to nature, nature tells you, it doesn't matter who's right. You stay with your bloodline. You stay with your nation. That's called unity. Doesn't matter who. I remember my mother used to say, mama's for right. Mama's for right. But then I would see how right was whatever she wanted to do. That was right. But seriously, when you go overseas, you quickly learn that if you are a foreigner, doesn't matter whether you are right or wrong, they are going to stick together, right? And you will lose. You will lose. They will team up against you. Even someone who you thought was your friend is going to take the other person's side against you. All right? Now that's just the truth, y'all. But especially in North America, you guys are totally detached from nature. You think it's wrong to support your brother, even though your brother or sister may be wrong. They might be in the wrong. If it's a foreigner, you support your brother and sister. Period. That's the way it goes around the world, y'all. If it goes that way around the world, and I've traveled and dealt with all kind of people. All right? I've traveled and dealt with all kind of people. And I can assure you that that's the way it goes down. All right? That's the way it goes down. So therefore, that has to be natural. All of this other stuff, these are just schemes. These are just psych ops. All right? To make you, to separate you and conquer you, to divide and conquer you, to weaken you. Okay, so let's continue. Whatever a man sowed, that he shall reap. If you don't stick with your nation, you're going to reap the results of being, what is the word? Is it, for not having unity, you will reap those results. You will reap those consequences, the Hermetic Law of cause and effect. You will be punished until you develop chronic illnesses, extreme poverty, shortened lifespan, and death. This is how nature communicates with you. Nature also communicates with you by allowing you to see, to observe nature. But if you're under the God spell, what happens? You got eyes to see, but you can't perceive. Ears to hear, but you can't understand. So if you're under the God spell, you're probably saying, I'm talking crazy right now. Right? You're supposed to do what's right. You're supposed to be Christ-like. Well, let me tell you, y'all, that ain't the way it happens in the rest of the world. The way it happens is the foreigner is wrong. Period. And they stick up for each other. As a matter of fact, my friend told me that in Vietnam, in their schools, they teach Vietnamese people to stick up for each other, to stick together. They learn it in school. That's one of the first things you will learn when you start traveling in Asia. These people stick together. And if it's 2, 3, 4, 5 Asians from 2, 3, 4, 5 different countries, and you're not Asian, they're all going to stick together against you. I know that for a fact.
Yeah.
All right? For a fact.
Yeah.
And if you go to Europe, you will experience the same thing. Huh? You will experience the same thing. They will stick together. But what happens in let's say if you go to the US, they're going to pretend, right? They're going to pretend like everything is fair, everything is just, right? Pretending, then have all kind of problems. You did this, you did that, you didn't do this, you didn't do that. And they'll be in the back room. They'll be in the back room, cutting deals, making agreements, and you'll be the one who pays, and you'll be the one who loses and suffers, but they create the image, the outward show that is fair. And our people been buying that since what? Since the civil rights movement, since affirmative action. Y'all see what they did with affirmative action. But anyway, let's keep it moving. Let's keep it moving. He continues. So Virgo provides the food on which we are to be sustained throughout the year, that quote unquote openeth her hand, and filleth all things living with plentifulness. You know what that reminded me of? That reminded me of that picture of JC, the Christ figure, who opens his hand, and what do you see in his hand? You see a Moor. You see a denationalized Moor, actually a dead Moor. A dead Moor, remember? Hiram Abiff, the Moor laying on his side, dead, in a dead state, with his head in Aries. Christ is Aries. Good morning, man. Can I pay you? Can I pay you now?
Yesterday.
Yeah, yesterday. I came here early so I could pay you. Can I have the same thing too when you have a chance? Oh, you look so young. You look so.
$5. Okay.
You look so. $5? Okay. Wait. No sugar.
What?
I need to pay you for yesterday, and one more.
Okay.
No sugar.
But wait,
That's fine. I just want to make sure I pay you. This lady owns a coffee shop, but she looks very young. Very young. That's the thing about, I don't know if it's. I'm gonna see if she'll say hi so y'all can see. My friend asked me what do Cambodian women. Ma'am, can you say hi to my audience? Can you say hi?
hi, sir. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. She's probably 4 feet. She's probably 4 feet maybe 4.9, 4.8 at the most. But this is Cambodian money. This is a very small bill. This is like $2 or $2.50. It's Cambodian fiat. So did y'all notice her complexion was brown? A good shade of brown. Did y'all notice that? That's the Cambodian money. You know, part of me wants to, part of me would like to travel, but I need to reestablish my I need to get more students to enroll, sell more books, so that I can move around again. But I tell you what, if I could do it again, the way I was able to, I think I would travel to one country a month, from one country to the next every month, do my live streams, live stream or do videos from significant places that have to do with the topic that we're discussing. But anyway, let me get back on topic. I don't know how old she is, but she looks young. She looks very young to own this coffee shop. But anyway, let's keep it going. Thus, all is beautiful, all is magnificent, grand, harmonious, and intelligible, elegant as art, and convincing as science. So what is he talking about? All is beautiful. Well, here's what he's talking about. When Virgo is interpreted by the true key of astronomical allegory. In other words, if you look at the meaning of Virgo, astrologically, it all makes sense. When you look at it religiously or biblically, it's nonsense. It's impossible to be true. Y'all see what the author is communicating to you? Where stands the Virgin Mother in the gospel, in the God spell? Y'all know gospel is two compound words. God, which is not an ancient word. God is Odin and Woden, the dramatic deity, the modern day spelling of which is G-O-D, God. All right, so there's a constellation called Sirius. So the dog star, major and minor, Canis major, Canis minor, dog. Okay, God is good, the devil is evil, right? So God is good. Two O's. Since there's two O's, you can delete one. So God and good are the same word. Do y'all see it? You see it? All right. So God is good, the devil is evil. Take the D off of dark, because people do evil things in the dark. When someone does something in the dark, you may not know it's them because you can't see. There's no light. So you cannot see the truth clearly in most cases. You can't testify in court and say, I saw him clearly. No, it was dark. Right? That's why JC said, I'm the truth and the light. If anyone wants to come to the Father, they must come through me. So you need the light to know the truth. The truth is intelligence. The truth is beautiful, magnificent, grand. The truth brings harmony. For example, living in harmony with nature. The truth is intelligible. It is elegant, meaning simple, easy to understand. The truth is convincing. That's convincing as science, right? All right. So you take the D off of dark, put it in front of evil, you get devil. So you get the devil and you have God. It's just wordplay. All right? It's just wordplay. Wordplay, nothing more. All right, so let's continue. Where stands the Virgin Mother in the God spell in the gospel, but near the cross of Christ? So remember, from March 22nd, the sun ascends up until the summer solstice, June 21, and then the sun descends, it falls, and on September 22nd, the sun crosses below, the S-U-N sun crosses below, the S-U-N sun is crucified, crosses below the autumn or fall equinoctial line. That's the fall equinox. So the sun is crucified. The Son of God gets crucified when he crosses that fall equinoctial line. Y'all see it? That's in September. That's the scales. Libra. So now you have Hiram Abiff dead with his head in Aries and his feet in the scales of justice. Y'all see that? Well, what's the consequence? What's the consequence of not following the Most High's commandments, of living outside of harmony with nature, of breaking the Most High's commandments, of not living according to truth, peace, freedom, and justice? Well, you get the curses, you get the punishments. Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 15 through 68. Hence, Hiram Abiff is laying dead in a shallow grave. Cursed. Civilly dead. Y'all got it? Civilly dead. And out of his mind. Everybody see that? He's in religion. Cursed. Worshiping what? Y'all, what does the verse say? Worshiping idols of wood and stone. He becomes a Muslim. He becomes Islamic. He becomes a Christian. And all the variations of Christianity. Does everyone understand? So, Hiram Abiff, the Moor, the Yasharala man or woman is a Moor. All Genesis chapter 2, verse 7, men and women are Moors by lawful definition. It's non-debatable. Look in your Black's Law Dictionary. Look up land. All right? So now, Christ is crucified at the fall equinox, which is September. And then in August, we see the Virgin Mary or Virgo. All right? So in the Christian paintings, Christian iconography, you'll see Christ crucified with his mother Mary standing right next to him in the photo. All right, y'all? In the photo. That's what that means. And then Christ is given what? He's given vinegar to drink. Meaning that the last day of the harvest for sweet grapes has occurred, which is September 29th. Any juice that you squeeze out of that grape from September 29th forward is going to be sour. You can only use it for vinegar. Christ spits it out and says, it is done, or it is finished. It is complete. What does he mean? He means the harvest time for making sweet wine is done. It's complete. It's over. Anything else that you get out of a grape is going to be sour. Only good for making vinegar. Everybody see that? And then, of course, he's led by Michael, the archangel, down to hell. All right? Or Mike-El, the angle of light that is encoded, embedded with specific information and energy, available to all those who know how to access it and use it. We can all process it. We can all access it and process it, but if you're not in the right state of mind, if you're in your lower self, anybody who doesn't know their nationality, who's in religion and all of that, that's lower self. Okay, you can be as Christ-like as you want, but you're still going to get those curses. You're still going to get that spanking, right? That's still going to come on you by natural means. Anyway, let's keep it going. Where stands the Virgin Mother in the Zodiac? But just as near the cross, which the Escheat sun makes over the equinoctial line in September, when after having extended his, that's the Escheat sun, last fervors in the ripening of the corn. So the last fervors in the ripening of the corn, he's talking about in July. In July, when the Escheat sun expresses or emits its most intense heat or solar energy, all right, which fecundates the earth. It means that it makes, through some process, through some natural process, it makes the earth more fertile, highly fertile. This is what the author is talking about. All right, so those mature fruits that have not ripened will become ripe due to the fecundation of the earth, secondary to the sun or to solar energy. Y'all got it? Caused by solar energy. All right? So those are his is the Escheat sun, last fervors in ripening the corn. This is what he's talking about. All right? The fecundation of the earth. He, that's the Escheat sun, passes into his church of Laodicea. That is literally, Laodicea literally means the just people, the higher self people. The higher self people. Christ is also what? The password for justice. So Laodicea, which literally means the just people, that is the group of stars which from the scales of justice, Libra, in which it is neither hot nor cold. Y'all got that? The scales of justice. The vernal equinox, the fall equinox, the autumn equinox, 12 hours of daylight, 12 hours of night. That's why it says it's neither hot nor cold. See, it's balanced. It's neither hot nor cold. Why? Because there's 12 hours of daylight and 12 hours of night. Y'all see it? And if I remember correctly, in the book of Jubilees, I don't remember the chapter. Maybe it's chapter 12, 23, or 25, where it tells you, it lists which of Noah's sons got what land, and it tells you about the climate. And then it says that, I believe it's Shem. Shem got the land, the most beautiful land. It was neither hot nor cold. It was neither hot nor cold. What is that telling you? What is it telling you? It was neither hot nor cold. Think. 12 hours of daylight, 12 hours of night. It was neither hot nor cold. It was the most beautiful land. I'm not going to tell you. You keep coming here if you want to know or figure it out yourself. Eventually, I'll say it without thinking about it, right? But right now, I'm going to tease you. I'm not telling you. And when I hear this word Laodicea, it reminds me of this this friend of mine I used to have years and years and years ago. Her name was Laodicea. But Laodicea reminds me, when I hear it, it sounds like Laodicea. You know, she was a good person. She was a nice young lady. I was friends with her and her family. Her mother, Honey. Yeah, her mother, Honey. I really liked her mother, Honey, and her father, Bobby. Yeah, she had 2 sisters, too. Yeah, it was good people, y'all. Good people. All right, now let's continue. Let's continue. So the scales of justice. So now remember, Hiram Abiff is dead with his feet in the scales of justice, right? Justice was executed. And his head in Aries. All right, so the more committed a felony or felonies against nature, or in religion we say against the Most High, right? We say he broke the Most High's commandments. All right? That's how it's said in religion. In civics, we would say he committed felonies, right? And the law is based in nature. And so therefore he was what? He soiled the blood of the covenant. All right, y'all? In other words, he embarrassed his family. He embarrassed his family, and he broke natural law. And for that, you lose your right to inherit and your right to give your heirs an inheritance. Everybody see that? In other words, you lose your nationality. You lose your nationality, which means you lose all your property. And you lose your noble status. Everybody see it? And the Romans allegedly had, if they ever existed, right? Well, we know they don't exist in the way that we're taught that they exist. This is where the whole thing about capitis diminutio maxima, media, and minima come from. The spelling of, first of all, giving you a name, right? That's the first thing, tagging you with a name, which names are for animals and things. And then spelling it in all caps or with a variation of caps, to or lowercase, to what? To signify the degree of loss of civil rights that you have. In other words, whether or not you can own property, whether or not you're descendable, whether or not you can give an inheritance to your heirs. This kind of stuff, right? All right, so let's keep it moving. All right. So in which it is neither hot nor cold. That's because it's 12 hours of daylight and 12 hours of night. Balanced, warm. See, the one extreme is hot, the other extreme is cold, and in the middle is warm. 12 hours of daylight, 12 hours of night, right? If you get 13, 14, 15, 16 hours of night, it's going to be cold. Listen, y'all. Listen. If you get 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 hours of daylight, it's going to be hot. If you got 12, right in the middle, is warm or lukewarm. But when the solar heat every day diminishes, when the solar heat every day goes down, lessens, he, that's the S-U-N, sun, begins to descend, begins to fall. Fall where? Fall southward. The sun begins to descend, begins to fall with sorrow to the grave. Whose sorrow? Well, men and women, we feel sorry, right? Because, dang, winter is coming. Winter is here. I hate winter. I'm going to fly south, right? I'm going to fly down to Brazil or something like that to avoid the winter. Or I'm going to fly to the Philippines. I'm going to fly to Thailand. I'm going to fly to Vietnam, Laos, wherever, right? To avoid the winter. So men and women, we feel sorrow when winter is coming. But it's the sun, the S-U-N sun, that's going to the grave, which is the winter solstice, right? December 21 to the very first second that begins December 25th. So the S-U-N sun is said to be dead because it's not casting a shadow on the sundial. The whole year it casts a full 1 degree shadow on the sundial. 1 degree equals 1 day. But all of a sudden, December 21, it stops casting that shadow. Right? It stops. So our ancestors, because they had a concrete paradigm, said the sun is dead. And when on December 25th it cast that 1 degree shadow, it said that the sun has been born again, or a new sun is born. So the sun was dead for 3 days. Lazarus was in the grave for 3 days, right? So was JC. Okay, y'all? All right, so in finance and law, hell is debtor's prison. Thank you very much, man.
Thank you.
Thank you. Can you say hi again? Don't be shy, can you? My friends wonder what the people in Cambodia look like. They wonder what people in Cambodia look like. My friends in America. They just want to know what Cambodian people look like. You're shy?
I speak English a lot.
Oh, can you just...
Hello.
Thank you, man.
Thank you.
All right, so now y'all know what Cambodian people look like. Some people are much darker than her, actually. But she kind of looks like Filipino. That's a typical looking Filipino, y'all. If you go to Manila, you'll see more light complexion. But if you go in the provinces and everything like that, they're dark, very dark. All right, a lot are even darker than her, of course. But Asian people are shy. Let me rephrase that. Shy to do new stuff, or when it comes to foreigners, there's like a stigma. So Asian woman really, especially Vietnamese, you'll find it also in the Philippines if it's a woman coming from a dignified family. They don't want to be too close or be seen to be too close with foreigners because the people will think bad, Y'all know how our people are. Start judging you, making all kind of claims, doing whatever they can to destroy your good name. meaning calling you a whore. Because they saw you talking with a foreigner. So typically, from my experience, if Asian women and I'm not talking about an older woman. Actually, she looks like she's in her 30s, actually. Now, I got a better look at her. I think mid 30s. Or maybe 38. So I got a better look at her. But if they think I carry my own honey. I found that when you ask for honey in a coffee shop or a restaurant, I think they're not using, a lot of them, they don't use pure honey. And the high fructose corn syrup, y'all, is toxic. It gives you joint pains. And I would notice, man, every time I drink something there, I get this joint pain, you know? So I put 2 and 2 together. I said, oh, they must be using high fructose corn syrup. And sure enough, when I started going to the grocery stores, I would read the labels, and I found out that they're putting, the honey, a lot of these brands of honey are not natural. Also maple syrup. Yeah. Oh, and by the way, y'all, I got a friend. I have 2 friends who own farms. One person is a new friend. She is a Vietnamese physician, and she left working in the hospital to grow herbs on her farm, her family farm, and so she grows the herbs, she processes them, and puts them in a tablet form and things like that. But she specialized in traditional Vietnamese medicine, which is kind of like Chinese medicine. And I've been talking to her. That might be something that I will do if I can make it happen. Yeah, if I can make it happen, I'll do it. But it's in my opinion, Chinese medicine is inferior to what our ancestors did in the Americas. But that's a whole long story. And but anyway, I'll update y'all. If y'all want to get herbs, I'm talking about fresh herbs straight out of the garden, non-GMO. Grown by a local farmer, and there's not going to be any danger associated with that herb, then y'all let me know. Let me know, and I can make it happen. So I have one friend. Yeah, I have 2. Yeah, she's growing some herbs that I recommended that she grows. So if anybody, would be fantastic, y'all. I'm going to get back to the topic. See, look at what CM Bay said. CM Bay said, use your own intelligence, use your own mind to solve your own economic problems. That requires unity. He said that in order to do that, we have, as a matter of fact, let me let this brother speak for himself so y'all won't say, so that y'all will take it. He has more influence than I do. All right? So let me let this brother speak for himself. Give me 1 second. I'm going into the Clock of Destiny. I think it's volume 2. Maybe it's page, I don't remember the page. I'm not going to even guess. But you know, I would like to be at the point where I could just call off page numbers. If I did this, if this was my like livelihood, I could do it. But now my attention is spread between so many things. Let me see. Maybe it's volume 1. It might be volume 1. Hold on. I don't remember where the page number now. Well, if it comes to me, I don't remember the page number. I think it's in the beginning. Maybe it's in the beginning of the book. Hold on. Maybe it's in the beginning. Yeah, I think it's more in the beginning. Hold on. I don't remember. Y'all look it up yourself. But let me just paraphrase this brother. The brother says, CM Bay says in the Clock of Destiny, he says that in order for us to be a strong people, we have to undo what they taught us, which is religion. We've got to undo it. And the only way to do that is to take back, to take back your culture. In other words, to recover your heritage. Isn't that what we're told in the book of the law? Right, y'all? Isn't that what we're told? To go back to that state of mind of your ancient foremothers and forefathers, to accept your culture, which is science and engineering, observation, testing, create from that science. That's called science, right? And from that science, use it to create something, a product or a service, a machine, anything, right? Or it could be a computer it could be anything. That's called a technology. Once you use it to create something, it becomes a technology. All right? Or even if you don't use it, but if you write it down, how you're going to use it, now it's a technology. So CM Bay says that our culture is science. That's all the sciences. Sciences all includes engineering, okay? Architecture, medicine, law, linguistics, everything. And then to use that to solve your own economic problems. And anybody who relies on someone else to do that for them, meaning you rely on foreigners, especially hybrids, he said you create for yourself hell, which means you're responsible for the hell you live in because you're relying on someone else to do for you what you should do for yourself. But more than that, as the brother said, we need to give them back that religion, all of them. Give it back. And the one thing that the house of Yasharallah was kicked out of the promised land for was what, y'all? Any of y'all remember? What was that one thing? And I know it's one thing because it's listed. It says it. The one thing they tell us in the book of the law. What that one thing is. Y'all know what that one thing is that got them kicked out, got our ancestors kicked out? Well, let's say got us kicked out. Y'all know why I say us? Because we are our ancient foremothers and forefathers. How about that? That explains why we are supposed to teach our sons and daughters what? The Most High's laws. And that is why we're supposed to do what? Acquire things material things, so we can have something to give them when they become men and women, right? And when we pass on, and when we come back, they will have something to give us. Y'all see that? So, see, Mbe says that the mechanism of our plight, of this hell we're living in, is religion. So he says we need to teach our people science. What kind of science? More science. What is more science? All the sciences that we just mentioned. Because once you know science, once you know linguistics, and you open up, let's say you open up a Bible, you know etymology, you know grammar rules, you know how they played with the grammar rules, you know how grammar rules create meaning and how you can manipulate them, you know philology, you know history, secular and mythological. Or you know these things. Well, and let's say you know civics. Well, when you open up the book of the law, or you open up the Bible, let's say you know astrology, you know about nature. You open up the Bible and you start reading, and you automatically see everything. Simple, easy. Nothing's hidden from you. Nothing. The only thing that makes it hidden is our ignorance, y'all. This is what CMB is talking about. What makes it hidden is our ignorance. All right? So what CMB is saying is that we use the science and technology that we create. We use our own genius. We don't need to go to any university. We don't need to go to any school. We can self-educate ourselves and our heirs. We have the brilliance. We have the genius to do it. That's proven. And we didn't get stupid until we went in their schools. Did y'all notice that? That's when we got stupid. And stayed stupid. Stuck on stupid. Am I telling the truth or am I lying? All right? All right. So, we need the mechanism of this hell that we're living in is religion, and allowing ourselves to be educated, to be brainwashed, to be made dumb, to be made helpless, lazy by foreigners. See, worshiping other gods is what got our ancestors, the house of Yasharallah, kicked out of the promised land. That's what got them cursed. Deuteronomy 28, 15 through 68. Don't take my word for it. Go look it up. That's exactly what got them. But wait a minute. Y'all say, oh, wait. There's 10 commandments. But only one. Breaking one got them kicked out, which was what? Worshiping other gods. What does this mean? Well, we already went over what God means. God is a dramatic word. Well, God is a dramatic deity. It's the modern day spelling of Odin and Woden, the dramatic deity. And what else? Well, we went over Sirius the dog star, right? God is good. God and devil are God and good are the same words. We went over that. So what is it? Worshiping other gods. The first commandment is don't bring another power, don't bring another God before my face. So they brought another power before the Most High's face. What does that mean? See, this is why Noble Drew Ali said, know yourself, right? If you ask me what to study, study yourself. And when you get done, study yourself some more. Know who you are. Know who your mother and father are. who their parents were, who their parents were, who their parents were. Right? Know your family, know your nation, and the instructions that are passed down to you from them. That's called law, y'all. That is the ancient or denotative meaning of law. The instructions passed down to you from your family. Isn't that what we see in the book of the law, y'all? Isn't that what we see? Moses was given the instructions. Moses was given the instructions. Moses was given the law. And he verbally expressed it to the people. But the people also heard, according to the story. The people also heard the Most High's voice speaking to Moses. So now the people heard it, according to the story, right? They heard it. So now they are what? They are witnesses. They heard it. And what did the Most High say? He said, listen, I'm bringing these people, the house of Yasharallah, I'm bringing them toward the mountain so that they can hear me give you these instructions. So that if ever, now I'm adding this in, this is the reason. So if ever they hear someone say or given laws, giving instructions that I did not give you today, not yesterday, not last year, not what he said to Adam, not what he said to Eve, not what he said to Noah, not what he said to anybody, but Moses on that day at that mountain. This is what he said. He said, I'm bringing him here so that they can hear it, so that they can be witnesses, so that they can know. Yeah, I heard the Most High say this to Moses. That's right. Memorialize it. Orally and in writing, however. So that if anybody comes along in the future talking about something else, you should believe Moses. So I'm going to let the people hear it so that the people will always trust in you, Moses. Now y'all go look up the etymological meaning of Moses. Y'all go look up the Hermetic meaning of Moses. All right? Go look that up and see what that adds to the story. Y'all heard? Huh? So the instructions were given by Moses. Look up the Hermetic meaning of Moses. And then it was passed from one generation to the next. In the book of the law, it says fathers are to do what? Teach their heirs the Most High's commandments, which are natural law. Y'all see it? So now, these are the instructions that are passed from one generation to the next to the family, which is the denotative meaning of law. Go look in Volney's book titled The Ruin of Nations. Attached in the back, there's a book called Natural Law, and you will get that definition of law. All of this comes out of the book of the law, y'all. All of it. The civics is in the book of the law. So I hope y'all will support my project with your finances to correct. I used to say to rewrite, but I think to correct is more precise. To correct the book of the law. Okay? To correct it. To clearly show the civics. For example, did y'all know that in the book of the law, it actually says, and I've gone through this in my classes many times, it actually says that the oppressor, the foreigner, will use public policy and their courts to harass and destroy the autochthonous Moors. Did y'all know that? It's right there in there. You understand the ancient Ibaryath is clear as day. So that would be the black codes, race black, right? That would be the traffic tickets. That would be all the bills of attainder, all the bills of pains and sufferings, right? Everything that got to do with civil death. That's what it is. Y'all know that the bills of attainder and sufferings are in the book of the law. I believe it's Deuteronomy 5, verse 9. All right? So, the man who commits a felony in civics, he commits a felony, which is which is going against natural law, right? Not respecting your ancient foremothers and forefathers. How? Well, you don't follow their instructions. That's the ultimate disrespect. You take a name. Names are for animals to begin with. Men and women, the gods, quote unquote, connotatively speaking, those who are thought made manifest from the soil, we take on appellations. Right? See, if you express this, then I will respond to you. All right? So if you speak, for example, if you speak, well, I'll just use me, Yasapa all, I'll respond to you. It's not a name. Animals and things have names. That's an appellation. All right? And the hybrids are not allowed to use it because they would be speaking God's name in vain. I learned that in the civics class. Y'all, y'all go to enforcetheconstitution.org. And if you want to learn civics, go there and get on the mailing list, and then they will send you an invitation or send them an email or something like that. But you can learn civics there. All right? That's where I learned it. Where was I, y'all? The law. So if y'all want to support with your finance my project to write, to correct the book of the law, rewrite it, correct it, show the civics, show the Hermetic laws, show the natural laws, the celestial stuff, the natural phenomena, show the astrology, the astrotheology, show all of that with modern English, in simple, easy to read and understand English, next to the ancient Ibaryath, showing the ancient Ibaryath pictographs, the grammar rules, word morphology means how the word is constructed, and all of that. So you'll be able to look at it and understand not just what you're reading, but why I rendered a word the way I rendered it. All right? And so the ancient Ibaryath, the pictographs, they have meaning. They have meaning. They have symbolic meaning and cultural meaning. Hold on, y'all. And based upon certain patterns and things like that, we get into grammar rules, how the words are formed, called word morphology, and all of these type of things. And you'll be able to look at it and then understand my rationale for the way I rendered a word. and for the way I rendered a sentence or a whole verse, okay? And then you can accept it or you can come to your own conclusion. The important thing is that you understand and that you can make your own decision. That's the important thing, all right? So if you want to know more, look in the description area of this video. You can see some of the things, not all of the things, some of the things that I'm going to deal with, address in the book of the law if y'all support it. If you want to see examples of my work, I have a list of many books that I have written in the description area of this video. Y'all can click on any of the links. Well, better yet, you have to buy them. I'm still locked out of my website, y'all. So you have to buy it on Amazon. All right, you have to buy it on Amazon or one of the other online platforms, and you'll be able to get it. Take a look at some of the books I've written in the past. All right, it'll give you a good outline of what to expect. All right, so CMB says we need to educate ourselves. That means pull your heirs out of the public and private food system. And then use that to create our own economies. So I'm talking about doing international business. Doing international business under the Moroccan Empire flag. Y'all hear me? You hear me? So I'm domicile in Vietnam. So we have problems, but let me rephrase that. In the Maghreb Al-Aqsa, y'all have problems with the food. You're eating GMO poison, right? Pesticide, poison food. Well, they're not. A lot of it's not even food. So, for example, we can create through our government. We could enter into some kind of trade agreement. You know, ultimately that would be the big goal. Enter into some kind of trade agreement with, for example, Vietnam. Just for example. Or Japan, or any of the Southeast, or better than that, with what is it called? With ASEAN. ASEAN it's like the European Union but for Asia. All right, we can enter into some type of trade agreement with them, or memorandum of understanding, so that we can have our diplomats there domiciling in those nations. And then we start small, like with herbs, fruit, vegetables. Okay, y'all? International trade. Actually, in Vietnam and a lot of countries, English is a big deal. You know, teaching English is a big deal. In Vietnam, English teachers have a big salary. But of course, it's a big salary for the Vietnamese economy. It's a big salary for the Vietnamese economy. So we have a lot. But we can start there, like Dr. Clark said. He said you can start small. He said just build a paperclip. Manufacture a paperclip. And only buy paper clips from your people. After that, start making drawers. Everybody wear drawers. And panties. So if you're in Philippines, Tagalog In Tagalog English, they will say panties. They pronounce all of their consonants very hard. Panties. So you make drawers and panties. Almost all people wear them. And then you only buy them from your own people. And then you do what? You build and grow off of that. Over time, the quality improves, right? The science and technology improves. The quality of the product improves. But you need to be willing. Be patient. Be nationalistic. And accept that in the beginning, the products may not have, no, not may not, will not have, most likely will not have the same quality as what you're used to. Because we're just starting out. But it takes, see, we don't need the whole masses of our people. We just need a small percentage. Y'all ever heard about the 99th monkey phenomena, or the 100th monkey phenomena? Right? We're just a few people in a population need to adopt a new mindset and a new behavior. And then at some climactic point, which is that 99th or 100th monkey phenomena, once that's hit, that new behavior, that new mindset is adopted by the entire population. So you don't need everybody. You just need a few good men and women. In other words, nationalism, right? Nationalism. Nationalize and nationalism. Now, do you understand why so much energy and effort and finance is put into keeping you ignorant and out of your mind? Totally detached from nature. Y'all see? Now that's CM Bay talking. All right, but what is this called? In academia, they call it group politics. All right? Group politics. All right. That's why China is so strong. If you want to see nationality, go to China. Or deal with Chinese people. You ain't got nothing coming. Even with other Asian people. But I admire them. I wish my people were like that. I really do. I admire them. I'm not offended. You know, years and years and years ago, I used to be offended, you know, because I had a different mindset. I wanted to be treated equally. I was detached from nature. All right, here we go. Page 38. I was right. Page 38 of The Clock of Destiny, Part 1, Volume 1. Is it Volume 1? Hold on now. Yeah, Volume 1. Let me make sure I get this right for y'all. But I went over this yesterday, the class right before this one. Yeah, Volume 1, page 38. Let's let CM Bay speak, okay? No, let's start with page 37. It is true that the Christians control commerce. Now, he said Christians. He didn't say that the U.S., right? He said Christians, Rome, control commerce. The atomic bomb, industry, production, distribution, munition plants, labor unions, and powerful military forces. The Christians control all of that. All of which cannot compete, listen y'all, all of which cannot compete with that great body of truth as illustrated in the 12 signs of the Zodiac, sharper than any two-edged sword. Now let me tell y'all what he's talking about. This is what he's talking about. This is what he's talking about. Remember, Remember the sun and the energy and all the cosmic energy, all the energy coming from all of the heavenly bodies. They are energy, but they are embedded with information, right? With information. And remember the Ta cross, right? You see our ancient Kemetic ancestors like this, okay? Which represents this. All right? So Ezekiel chapter 1, verse 7, and I think it's Revelation 4. All right? The head of a bull. I'm talking about the cherubim. Ezekiel chapter 1, verse 7 forward, I think. So the head of a bull, the cherubim, the head of a bull. And then there's the head of a lion, the head of an eagle, Scorpio, the head of a man, Aquarius. So the bull, of course, is Taurus. The lion, of course, is Leo the lion. And then the cherubim. And then here's you, the autochthonous higher self, more fixed between the cherubim. Y'all see it? And then the cherubim, high-ranking angels, in other words, angels of light, carrying messages embedded with energy and information, messages that protect that blazing more that's fixed in the center, the higher self more fixed in the center between the cherubim. All right, now I talked earlier about the blackamoor and how black means shining, brilliant. Okay, so originally that may have been what was meant by blackamoor until it was changed to mean something negative. It could have meant the shiny, the glorified, the holy, right? Holy as in the glory, as in the sun rays, the bright, brilliant, intelligent, highly intelligent, more who sees everything. Why? Because what did JC say? If you've seen me, you've seen the Father. I am the truth and the light. Let's let CM Bay speak. So this is what the brother is saying. Let me finish that thought. So the brother is referring to this. CM Bay is referring to this, okay? And the angels of light, the angels, the messengers, the cherubim, and that energy, that information, those messages communicating with your higher self mind, your higher self mind communicating with other higher self minds, communicating with consciousness, solves all problems for you once you have extracted the lesson from the problem. Y'all got it? This is what this brother is talking about when he says, all of these things they control cannot compete with that great body of truth. I am the truth and the light. Anyone who wants to come to the Father must come through me. If you've seen me, you've seen the Father. And everything I just said. As shown in the illustrated 12 signs of the Zodiac, sharper than any two-edged sword. Y'all see that? Y'all see that? So it just appears. It just appears that they are never going to lose their position. No. Nobody can go against nature. Moors are the gods, connotatively speaking. We are nature. We are that intelligence. All right? When we nationalize and we act nationalistically in harmony with nature, okay, y'all, in our higher self. All right? We become irresistible. Fixed between the cherubim. All right? Let us win the victory of peace, justice, He says here, human equality. You know, y'all, it's my personal opinion that anything that has been written that's publicly available has been altered. All right? So unless C.M. intentionally put human, but I think he must have known that the human is not man. They're different. The human is Han Uman, Genesis chapter 1. Because he writes about Yaqub, but then he has human. So if he did this, did he have a reason? What was his reason for using human? Did he have some limitation or some boundary that he couldn't cross? I don't know. Or were these works changed? Right? Or did he not know that human is Han Uman? Human in a law dictionary, you look that up, it's going to tell you monster, a monster who is non-descendable. So how can there be equality if the human is a monster and non-descendable? See, it doesn't make sense in law. And the hue is colorable, color in law, right? And so it's a symbolicum. It's a knockoff. It's a knockoff Gucci bag. It's a knockoff Versace shirt. Looks like a Versace shirt, but it's not made of the same quality materials and craftsmanship. So it doesn't have the substance. So the Han Uman is a product of genetic engineering. So it doesn't have the substance. The substance is the earth. All things of value come from the earth. So man is thought made manifest from the soil. Man is thought made manifest from the earth. Therefore, man is the substance and subject matter of the law. Y'all see it? That's a well-established principle in law, as it were. Okay, y'all? He continues. So he says without firing a gun. So we don't need to do anything violently, right? All we need to do is what? Express our brilliance. Like Noble Drew Ali said, if I can just get you to be yourself, and we just covered who you are. He said you would free yourself. In other words, you would take possession of your birthright and have full usage of it in peace and harmony. That's the blessings, right? Deuteronomy 1 through 14. Deuteronomy 28, 1 through 14. C.M. Bay continues, remember, we are Asiatics. See, and I know he's not using Asiatic and human synonymously. Now, maybe he said human because of human rights and then, all of the laws that are associated with that. He wanted us to be able to have access to that. Now, I understand that, right? The majority of the human family, the majority of the family of men, and the quote-unquote white people, see, that's the other thing. White means the sovereign of the land. Y'all see it? So I think someone edited his works. But I don't know. I'm just guessing, y'all. That's just my intuition. And quote-unquote Europeans. So, and the white people are Europeans. The minority of the human family, actually, it's not family. One is Han Uman, the Neanderthal, the caveman, the troglodytes, and then one is man. One has substance, the other does not have substance, okay? So there's no family. My opinion, all right? My opinion, it's not family. So the Han Uman is a product out of a lab. The sperm of a chimpanzee, the black one, the violent one, the most violent of them, and the egg of a Moabite woman, whereas man results from a man and a woman. So for me, that's not family. That's like if, if your pet dog, if your pet dog gets your mother pregnant, I mean, how does that sound? Right now, the baby is your brother? No way, right? Not even the same species. Okay, y'all? But anyway, let's keep going. All right, so who have unfortunately declined, so these hybrids have declined to an all-time low. That was in 1973. Mentally, morally, and physically, they had declined to an all-time low, mentally, morally, and physically. But y'all know what happened in when the Khazars took over the U.S. Right, everything went downhill from there. And what happened in Germany during the wars, the Great Wars, the World Wars, is what's happening in the U.S. right now. All right, the same people responsible for that are responsible for what's happening in the U.S. with the U.S. government now. Y'all see it? All y'all got to do is read the Protocols of the Learned Elders of Zion. You can get a copy of it off of the FBI Vault website. Free. Get a copy of it right from the FBI and read it and study it. And there's no way in the world you won't be able to read that. I mean, if your comprehension level is high enough, you'll be able to read it and understand what you're seeing in North America is the result of the implementation and execution of the Protocols of the Learned Elders of Zion. All right, protocols means the meeting notes, okay, of these Zionists. All right, now you hear some politicians like Joe Biden bragging that he's a Zionist and all of these things, right? And then you hear them around the world bragging about how smart they are, how intelligent they are, and how this and that. Well, guess what? If you control the fiat banking system, and you can control who gets funding and who doesn't, well, then that's like having a 100-meter race between let's say 20-year-old track and field guy, a 20-year-old sprinter racing a 70-year-old, 80-year-old grandmother. Of course you're gonna win, right? But you want to deceive everyone into thinking that you're so brilliant, you're so intelligent, you're so innovative, you're so creative, when in fact you're none of that. You're cheating. You control your line, or whatever y'all know. I'm talking about the hybrids, the Khazars. Control the banking, so therefore they control the corporations. They control who get funding. They control the media. They control who gets visibility. Right? That's why you're winning. Take away the central bank, and you will fall flat on your face, because you cannot compete without a crutch, and that's the fact. If you could, you wouldn't need a crutch. Right, y'all? If this thing they call white supremacy were true, they wouldn't need a crutch. And they wouldn't need so many crutches. Right? And they wouldn't have to be so aggressive. But the fact that they are just shows that they're full of shit, right? Anyway, page 38. Let's continue. This has made them blind to the truth and are murderers, criminals, otherwise by trade. That's their character. Now, y'all notice that the movies, Western movies, are always about what? Cheating, murder, robbing someone, war. That's their state of mind. That's their consciousness. So what does it tell us? What does it tell us about them, about their psyche? See, that's the question we need to ask. If they ever say something about us, what makes someone like you so psychologically insecure that you do these things, right? Don't study us. Let's talk about you. Why are you so criminal? Why do you keep these wars going? Why do you eat raw flesh? Why are you entertained by crime? Y'all see what I'm saying? What's wrong with your psyche? Don't talk about black on black crime. Doesn't exist. People who are suffering and people who are 24/7 bombarded with crime through media. Well, of course they're going to commit crimes in their own neighborhoods. But then you have the hybrids who are living well, committing all kind of crimes. But anyway, I'm going off on a different topic. Let me come back to this. But the real issue is, let's talk about your psyche, Mr. Hybrid. Don't talk about the social problems in my community. Let's talk about your psyche. And y'all should see what these Western nations have done to countries like Cambodia. It's so sad, y'all. Not only to the country, its infrastructure, it is so sad, but also to the mind of the people. They go through the same thing we go through. That's the truth, y'all. They go through they look Asian, but they are oppressed in the same way we are. The whole colorism thing, it's sad. It's very sad. But what they've done in Southeast Asia, they are in process of doing in North America. All right, y'all, Maghrib al-Aqsa. I mean, you haven't seen, you don't know poverty until you come to Southeast Asia, especially Cambodia. But I think even worse is the Philippines. It's so sad. You know, when I've seen so many homeless people here already. Garbage in the street, you know, all of the things that you would expect to see from a person who's psychologically damaged. You know, low self-esteem, very negative self-image, garbage in the street, piles of garbage in the street. It's sad, very sad. Living in shacks. Anyway, let's continue. 60% of the hybrid culture over the radio involves crime and murder. Now, we'd all have to agree with that. That's still true today. It's gotten worse. Maybe it's close to 100%. The other 40% is shown in actual reality involving color, racial prejudice, discrimination, segregation, and human injustice. How about the sex and the homosexual and all of this type of stuff that they put on TV right now? Drag queens, trannies, and all of that. All right? That's their culture. Now, how are you going to be superior? And you can't use the alibi, well, that's what the people want to see. No, that's what you put on the programming. And notice programming, right? Programming. The cuckoo bird, egg, the thought seed, the Hermetic Law of mental gender, television programming. Y'all see it? No, they did that. Y'all notice what happened? Where's this baby? Y'all know the CIA did his whole thing with the MK Ultra, the mind control, and all of that. And then they did the whole crack cocaine thing. And they said it was to fund the war. Was it the war in Nicaragua, the secret war in Nicaragua? But no, it wasn't. But it wasn't. It was to genocide us out. It was to genocide us out. That's what the crack cocaine thing was about. And now look at what's happened to the majority of the people. The majority of the people. Look at what happened to the black people. Look how their families have been totally destroyed. How the relationship between families have been totally destroyed. Look at how antisocial the people have become. In other words, look at the consequences of the crack cocaine military operation executed against the black people. Look at how it has destroyed them. Y'all see that? And look how they use social media to further destroy them. And homosexuality, induced homosexuality and lesbianism by chemical. Y'all know that. At some point I'm going to look up. I was just talking about this a couple months ago. I think it's an herbicide that scientist in UC Berkeley, he was hired, I think it was hired by Monsanto to do testing. And he found out that this herb transforms male frogs into female and female into male, so on and so forth. All right, now move forward. Look at the DIVOC spelled backwards. DIVOC spelled backwards. The Jabioski. All right, which hold on. All right. Which damages your immune system, okay? Which damages the immune system. And what's coming now? Well, mosquitoes. Mosquitoes. A friend of mine told me yesterday, a friend of mine told me about her friend who's 30 years old. 30. Died of dengue fever. Hold on. Died of dengue fever. She got dengue, and then maybe 4 or 5 days later, she was dead. From a mosquito bite, of course, right? Usually, from my experience, that's happening mostly in children and teenagers. But it's rare, right? Unless it's a very virulent. So I want to talk about viruses, but last time I talked about these kinds of topics, they removed my video and gave me a strike. But y'all start researching whether viruses are real or not. All right? Y'all start researching that and see what you come up with. Start researching whether or not these viruses were created, what are called viruses, actually come from. Oh, yeah, you're hiding from the camera?
Thank you.
Oh, thank you, man. She's hiding from the camera. Start researching. Start researching whether or not viruses are, in fact, animal messenger DNA and messenger RNA. Start researching that. See if that's what a virus really is. All right? So see if it was taken from an animal. In other words, now y'all, use your common sense. See, this is why, you know, when I was in medical school, I couldn't believe how stupid some of the doctors were. You know, we'd be in the clinic and, you know, we'd have a HEPA patient, dengue fever patient, and they'd be talking about viruses, right? Hold on. You know, I like the coffee because it's mild. It's not strong. I don't like strong coffee. It's watered down. I prefer it watered down. So they're talking about viruses, right, y'all? And how viruses are not living but living. Now, how is something not living going to replicate itself? I mean, use your common sense. You know, here I am a student. I'm thinking you must be some kind of fool. You got to be a fool to think that something that's not living is going to replicate itself, let alone you must even be a bigger fool to sit here and think, I'm gonna believe you. I kid y'all not. That's what they teach you. That's what they teach you. The virus is not living, but it has the ability to replicate itself. Do you know how much of a fool you have to be to believe that, to accept that? You've got to be an idiot. But people believe it because they have been indoctrinated into evolution. That something comes from nothing. You don't know how, you just need to accept it, right? Knowing good and well you've never seen something come from nothing, right? Let your refrigerator get empty or let your pockets get empty. See if you can get something from nothing, right? See if some food is just gonna magically appear or some fiat is just gonna magically appear out of nowhere. Okay, and if it did, where did the laws or principles come from that govern that magic appearance? Where did they come from? See, if they're already there, then something came from something. Right? If there's nothing there, then those principles can never come because there's nothing there to govern any type of reaction that could result in something as simple as it may be. Y'all see what I mean? So for any type of evolution or for something to go from simple to more complex, there has to be what? Underlying laws or principles to govern it. Right? So evolution is nonsense. It's a religious doctrine. All right? It is a religious doctrine. It's a psych op. To get you to accept having no birthright and to accept feudalism and fascism. But anyway, let's go back to CM Bay, talking about the economics, okay? Remember, I was talking about my friend, I have two friends here that own farms and they produce herbs. And I've already had some conversations with them about using them as suppliers or getting supplies from them, right? Page 38, Clock of Destiny, chapter, volume 1. Therefore, they badly need our help. He's talking about these hybrid troglodyte Europeans, the Paleolithic caveman, the Neanderthal, the quote-unquote white people, the Europeans. They badly need our help, and the only way that we can help them is to denounce that which they have taught us to believe. What is that? That's Christianity, Islam, that's all the religions, right? And accept our own culture, science and engineering. We get out of life as good as we create. Whatever a man soweth, that he shall reap. What you sow in the spring, you shall reap in the harvest, okay? When we rely on others to study the secrets of nature, in other words, when you rely on someone else to educate you, especially about nature, or just only about nature, let's stay with what he's saying. When we rely upon others to study the secrets of nature, what are the secrets of nature? Moorish science. All right, that would include linguistics, law, civics, everything, okay? Architecture, everything. Astronomy, astrology, everything. When we rely on others to study the secrets of nature and think and act for us, and think and act for us, where you're acting off of the education that you received and the experiences that you have in life, right? And the influences. Here we go back to the Hermetic law of mental gender, that cuckoo bird egg. That salt thief that produced the African American, a Negro, black, colored, Latino, whatever brand you might be labeled as, to think and act for us. Then we have created, that means we're responsible, right? This is the Hermetic law of cause and effect. You let someone miseducate you about science. Doesn't matter that you didn't know. Doesn't matter. Ignorance of the law is no exception, no excuse. then we have created. That means you are accountable. And if you are accountable, that means also you have if you're responsible, that means you also have the power and the ability to change it to what you want it to be, to correct it, right? So we have created in life for ourselves. See, they didn't do it, we did it. Yeah, they sent us the propaganda, but we made the decision to go to that school. And accept what they told us. To go to that church or temple or camp or synagogue, right? That was our decision. And y'all know the one thing that we have unchallengeable, and I'm quoting Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. It's those of you who know. The one thing that we were given, that we have, that is unchallengeable, and we have total control over it, is unchallengeable control over only one thing. See, somebody can lock you up, right? They can physically put you in a jail cell or in a prison, right? They can stab you, injure you. But what's that one thing that we have total control over, unchallengeable control over? That's the ability to think our own thoughts. The ability to think our own thoughts. See, nobody can take that away from you. You can give someone that power over you, right? Through media, all right, etc. Through learned helplessness, through worshiping other gods, through not knowing yourself, through worshiping other gods, instead of what? Following the instructions of your ancient foremothers and forefathers that was passed down to you from generations to generations to generations. But if that is taken away from you, you have what? You have a weak masculine mental energy. You don't even much know who you is. You don't know your nationality. You don't know the instructions. In other words, you don't know the Most High's commandments, which is the same thing as saying you don't know natural law. You're detached from nature. So therefore, someone who knows these things, who has a stronger masculine mental energy, can direct that energy at you, at the blacks, the Cambodians, the Mexicans, all right? Whatever brand you're labeled as, they can direct that energy at you because your subconscious mind, which is your feminine mental energy, doesn't discriminate about the masculine mental energy, which is the great I am, which is your great I am. Somebody else can direct their great I am at you. And the mechanism that they use to do it is media. And what? Drugs. Drugs. And policy enforcers. Okay? And what? These de facto courts. Right? These synagogues of Satan, where they practice black magic. De facto courts. Right? Where they worship the Prince of Darkness, Brotherhood of Saturnalia members. All right? These are the platforms. Okay? And now they produce a nigger. Or a spick. I don't know what they call the Moors in Italy. I remember when I was little, y'all, I used to love watching cartoons. And there was this cartoon, this one Italian guy, you know, he had the, what do they call it, the evening shade, the beard. He looked like he was down and out on his luck. And it was a fly. I don't know if they were at a restaurant, like a maybe a hole in the wall cafe. And he was talking to a fly. I don't remember everything, but he was talking to a fly. But it was this Italian guy, brown skinned Italian guy, and so the Moors in Italy. I used to date this Italian woman. I don't remember what part of Italy they're from, but y'all know the amalgamated Italian Moors. Yeah, we know them when we see them. But I had this one job. It was this Italian guy. He had a brown skin. He wasn't as dark as me, but he had brown skin. Clearly a Moor. Clearly, his skin was not pale. Clearly a Moor. He's in the sun. He's in the sun, so his skin got dark. And the other Italians, they used to make fun of him. His name was Boogie. They used to make fun of him, call him niggas, and all that kind of stuff. I felt bad for Boogie because they were all Italians. I couldn't say anything, What am I gonna say, right? Those were his friends. But he'd laugh and joke about it, but they were pale. They were pale, blue eyes. But they came from Italy. But he was brown. Boogie had a brown skin, brown eyes. And he looked sad. Boogie always looked sad. And he never talked very much. But I don't know what they call the Italians who are not pale in Italy. But I've seen Italians who are very pale and blue eyes and blonde hair. But of course the Moors were, right? The influence of the Moors, right? So a lot of the people in Italy are Moors. Without a doubt, they're Moors. Without a doubt. Well, let me change that. In my opinion, right? But the Moors were there, so I mean, the whole colorism thing, complexion, people should not mind that. The only way you can know a hybrid is if you do a skin biopsy. Well, actually, that's not even true, because there are hybrids who are dark, right? There are hybrids who are dark, and in fact, in the story of Esau, Esau came out. He was ruddy and hairy all over, right? Ruddy and hairy all over, like a hairy garment. So ruddy is brown, y'all. Hairy all over is like an animal. So like a ruddy horse or a ruddy cow. These are brownish red animals that are hairy all over. So that's how Esau was. Okay, that was the initial iteration of the hybrid. What is it called? They call them also Horites. They call them Horites in the Bible, right? And Esau mixed his seed with the Horites. Esau, in fact, married a Horite. And they used to have possession of Mount Seir. And then Esau came in, conquered them around the time of their father's death in Egypt. This is, what book is this in? It'll come to me. I forgot the book Man, it's been years since I thought about this. But anyway, there were like 210 or 215 Edomite women and children, or maybe even just women, I don't remember, maybe women and children that Esau spared, that the Edomites spared. And so obviously they would have taken them as wives at some point, right? And so they mixed their seed with the Horites. So Esau spoiled his seed. And so over the generation, as the genetic engineering continued, the skin became pale. All right? The skin became pale. But I don't know everything. You know, I wasn't there. I'm just telling y'all the way I see it. Maybe I'm wrong, right? Y'all have to figure it out yourself. But anyway, let's keep going. Let's keep going. So when we rely upon others to study the secrets of nature and to think and act for us, then we have created in life for ourselves that which is in turn hell. All right? Suffering. Suffering. Okay? So study science and support your constructive thoughts by positive action. Thereby solve your own economic problems. So right out of CMB's own mouth. Thereby, in other words, through science and through doing for yourself, self-sufficiency, self-preservation. That's a law, y'all. That's a law of nature. Self-preservation, self-defense. Thereby solve your own economic problems. So, through these things, we can do international business. Start off small with just herbs. Well, actually, that's big now, right? That's big. Because the food supply has been contaminated in North America. Right? And y'all watch what's going to happen. When they release these genetically engineered mosquitoes, or going back to the story that I was talking about. So my her friend, 30 years old, expired from dengue fever. All right? And I think Bill Gates, or so I've heard, allegedly, let me say that, allegedly Bill Gates has been all over YouTube talking about these genetically modified mosquitoes. Right? So mosquitoes are going to be biting people and then spreading disease. Allegedly. Right? Allegedly. And those people, unfortunately for them, those people who have taken the Jabioski, their immune systems are damaged and unstable. So if they are come into contact with one of those mosquitoes, their immune system will react and overreact. All right? It will be out of balance and they'll expire. So the Jabiosko was the one, and allegedly this genetically modified mosquito is going to be the two, right? Hit you with a 1-2 combo. That's what it appears to be. The Jabioski was meant to disrupt the immune system so that when it comes into contact with something very virulent, it will overreact and cause you to expire quickly. But we're going to see what happens, right? We'll see. Time will tell. Time will tell. So, in fact, let me just tell y'all this, okay? My experience. So, I take cayenne pepper, a large amount of cayenne pepper every day. So one day, I cut myself. It was deep. It was deep, and I said, oh, almost panicked. Because I'm thinking, infection, bleeding, right? But then I looked, and it was virtually no blood that came out. Virtually no blood came out. And I said, wow, that's amazing. And I'm looking, I'm amazed. Because I was expecting blood to squirt everywhere, right? And I was washing dishes too. That's the worst, right? That's why, if you can, put bleach in the water before you wash dishes and let it sit there for a minute. All right? About 10 minutes. But I watched it. Maybe a tiny bit of blood came. Not even enough to fill the wound, just a little bit. And I said, wow, this is amazing. The next day, it was healed. The next day, the wound was healed. I said, wow, cayenne pepper, y'all. Cayenne pepper. And another thing is vitamin C. Liposomal vitamin C or IV vitamin C. But the thing is, if it's IV, if something else happens like another DIVOC, they're going to close those clinics. So liposomal is much cheaper. You can do it at home. As a solution or a potential solution. And I'm not giving medical advice. I'm talking to y'all about my own experience, okay? That's what I experienced. All right? Y'all can Google search vitamin C or you search it on YouTube and see how wonderful it is with eliminating the effects of viruses. All right, y'all. So we have an opportunity to solve our own economic and health problems. Moors, supporting Moors in commerce, international business. You don't have to worry about anything if we support each other, right? So anyway, let's keep going. As it stands today, in 1973, the Asiatics of the USA are begging and relying upon the quote-unquote white people, the hybrids, but more so than that, relying on the U.S. corporation to solve their economic problems. We want jobs, right? We want welfare. Remember, or we want SSI. Remember, beggars have no choice. Beggars can't be choosy. So, quote unquote, let the dead bury the dead. Let the denationalized Moors stay where they're at. Right? And let's just deal with the Moors who want to do this. Moors who are higher self Moors. Moors who are in their higher self, the Christ. Thereby, or doing those things, thereby realize the fact that you are one among the living the civilly alive, in full life, Asiatic nation. All right? The fathers of civilization. Okay? That's CM Bay. Talking about group economics or nationalism. All right? Nationalism. So let's go back to let's go back to Virgo. I enjoy this, y'all. Okay, Virgo, page 139. Let's continue. The Virgin Mother is supposed grievously to deplore this event. What event? When the sun crosses below, when her son is crucified. Remember, mother and child, when Christ is crucified. When the sun crosses below the celestial equator, the autumn equinox. When the kingdom of God is over and the prince of darkness takes over. In other words, the number of hours or night times are going to become longer than the daytime hours. All right, so Virgo hates it. Jesus' mother, Mary, hates to see her son crucified on that cross. Hence, the pictures of the crucifixion of Christ, Christian iconography, y'all, which represent the Virgin Mary with the face of the Venus of Apollos in deep grief. So Mary is Venus of Apollos. Now remember, her face is the whore Campeschi, the harlot, Campespe, the harlot, all right? The tramp, the whore, the mistress of the sea, the prostitute, all right? Isn't that something how they choose to represent their deity, Mary, as a known, publicly known prostitute, a whore? And then the image that they use to represent JC is Caesar Borgia, a murderer, raped his own sister. Why would they represent their religion like that? I'll tell you why. Because church is actually Kirky, or Kirk rather, Circe, who's the Greek goddess that what? Tricks men to enter into her house and then feeds off of them, lives off of them. So the church tricks people to join the church and then give a tithe, support this project, that fund, this project, live off of you. And Circe takes their mind away. Circe would take their mind away from them. And that's what the church does. See, that's the God spell. See, you got eyes, but once you get that God spell, you can't perceive. You got ears, but once you get under the influence of that God spell, yeah, you got ears, but you can't understand anything. So the church takes away your mind. They detach your brain and your body, your senses, detach it or uncouple it from your mind. Right? Through what? Through stories, through media. Okay? All right, so let's continue. Hence the pictures of the crucifixion of Christ, which represent the Virgin Mary, with the face of the Venus of Apelles, in deep grief, standing near the foot of the cross. Right? So those pictures, the Christian iconography with JC on the cross and his mother Mary standing next to him, that's actually the fall or autumn equinox with Virgo standing next to the sun. All right, so that's Libra at the fall equinox and Virgo. That's what that picture means. So let's continue. It never being to be forgotten that the New Testament most distinctly speaks of two crucifixions of Christ. There are two. Answering to the two crosses, which the sun sun makes over the equator. So remember, there's the vernal equinox where the sun passes over or the sun crosses above the celestial equinox. The sun enters into the kingdom of the heavens, and then on September 22nd, the sun crosses below. The sun is crucified. Those are the two crosses, which is the autumn equinox. Those are the two crosses. So in the New Testament, which is wholly astrological or astrotheological, the New Testament. The New Testament most distinctively speaks of two crucifixions of Christ, answering to the two crosses which the sun makes over the equator. We just discussed that. The one in the spring, that's the first, right? So remember, there's two representations or two models of the zodiac, the solar zodiac. There is the solar zodiac that begins with spring. It always begins with Aries. That's based upon the seasons of the year, so it has to be from the northern hemisphere, right? It actually has to be from the northwest hemisphere. That's the only place you get 4 seasons: winter, summer, spring, and fall. Y'all see it? So Egypt had to be in the Americas. Ancient Kemet, the principal location is the Americas. And remember, the Atlantic Ocean used to just be a river. And When Rocks Cry Out by Horace Butler, he talks about the Jordan, right? The Jordan, crossing the Jordan, and what that means. Okay, so y'all should check that out. That was a really good book, y'all. So let's continue. All right. So the one in the spring in which he, that is the sun sun, is the crucified lamb. JC is the crucified lamb, the Lamb of God. Jesus is the Lamb of God, crucified, the Passover, right? The sun passes over or crosses over the celestial equator at the vernal equinox. Vernal means spring. Verily, verily, I say unto you, spring, spring, spring. All right? Okay. Let's continue. And after which he, that is the sun sun, ascends into heaven, ascends into the kingdom of heaven. And the other time it crosses is in September. We just talked about that, the autumn equinox. I hope this guy leaves. He's got his, he's watching a video and it's interfering with my concentration. Hold on. I'm gonna try to block him out. It's very loud. I don't know if y'all can hear, but it's very loud. You would think that he sees me here teaching a class. You would think he would go somewhere else, right? Or at least not sit next to me where I can hear his phone. Okay, so, all right, so after which the sun ascends into heaven, the kingdom of the heavens, and the other in September, which is the autumn equinox. After which the sun descends into hell. That's the winter solstice, right? As you have respectively two distinct pictorial representations of the crucifixion. So in the springtime crucifixion, you just see Jesus on the cross. Mary's not there. But at the autumn equinox, you see Jesus crucified. You see the Virgin Mary, his mother, in that picture. Okay? So the one representing the beginning of spring, and the other representing the end of summer, the beginning of fall, the end of the grape harvest, right? So let's continue, which is September 29. As you have respectively two distinct pictorial representations of the crucifixion, the vernal crucifixion, entirely omitting the figure of the Virgin Mary, of the Virgin Mother rather, and as that of the autumn crucifixion, which takes place in September, with perfect analogy, never omits to represent the Virgin of August, that's Virgo, as standing near the cross of September. All right, y'all? So that would be, again, for emphasis, that would be Hiram Abiff, that would be the Moor, the denationalized Moor, the religious Moor, the Christian or Muslim Moor, dead, lying in a shallow grave with his head in Aries, the Lamb of God, the historical Christ figure with his head in religion, civilly dead, and his feet in the scales, Libra. Justice has been executed on the Moor, all right, for dishonoring his ancient foremothers and forefathers. That's the curses, Deuteronomy 28, verse 15 through 68. So let's continue. And the plaint of the Blessed Virgin, as read to this day in the Church of Rome. In grief, the Holy Mother stood. Yeah, she's sad to see the kingdom of God ending, summer ending and fall and winter coming. So in grief, the Holy Mother stood. That's Virgo. Weeping near the holy wood, weeping near the cross, where JC gets crucified on September 22nd. It is but a version, and a very bad version, of the Greek idol of Moscus, the plaint of the goddess Venus for the death of her Adonis. So y'all remember Adonis goes back to Yahoo. Watch the video I did yesterday if you want to know more about that. And of course, Yahoo is a symbolical name for, or Baali, the deity Baal, Baali is a symbolical name for the Tetragrammaton, for Jehovah, for Yahoo, for Yahweh, for Yahuwah, and all of that. Strong's number 1180. Quote unquote, alas, alas, Adonis, the beautiful Adonis, is dead. Christ was crucified. Alas, alas, Cyntheria, thy beautiful Adonis is dead. Now, Adonai is also the source of the vowels for the Tetragrammaton. So what does that tell you? Strong's number 3068. Think, go look it up. Tammuz and Adonis are one and the self-same deity. Hold on. Oh man, we're 2 hours and 38 minutes into it. All right, so Tammuz and Adonis are one and the self-same deity. Adonis being none other than the S-U-N sun and Tammuz, whence our common name of Thomas, one of the 12 disciples of Christ, that is one of the 12 signs of the Zodiac. The Hebrew name for the month of June being Thomas, and Thomas, which is also called Didymus, signifying a twin. The annual wound, and being yearly wounded, the annual wound, Hiram Abiff gets the fatal wound from the three Raphians. They bury him in a shallow grave with his head in Aries, his head in religion, don't even much know who he is, and his feet in Libra. All right, and remember, springtime is a strong grip. According to CM Bay, springtime is that strong grip of spring. Spring's strong grip, referred to as the lion's paw, that lifts the dead plants, the dead vegetation back to life, resurrects everything on the earth from the death and slumber of winter, resurrects them, and they stand erect. They stand erect. So the more standing erect with his head to the north, or his head is the North Pole, and his feet the South Pole, this is the circumpolar zodiacal projection. Y'all see it? This is the more in his higher self. This is the more in his higher self, who has taken on the mindset of his ancient foremothers and forefathers. All right? And he's standing 90 degrees on the square, as CM Bay talks about. Okay, y'all? So he's no longer in the solar zodiacal projection, brainwashed by religion, a debtor, a sinner. But he stands erect as the Son of God, if you will, right? But I really can't say the Son of God, because the sun, that's the solar zodiacal projection. But he's standing erect, and his head is the North Pole, so the North Star. And his feet are the South Pole, right? Y'all see? The circumpolar zodiacal projection. So that the annual wound, or that fatal wound, and being yearly wounded, puts the astronomical sense beyond all approach of doubt. The Escheat sun under his name is Adonis, literally composed of the three words ad, A-D, which means the Lord, on, O-N, which means the being. Now, in Kemet, on also means light, and is, which means the fire. So add on is, the Lord, the being, the fire. Adonis is allegorically wounded, killed, or put out by the ascendancy of the great bear, boar, or pig, which is the Lord of the ascendant during the winter months. So that's a constellation, y'all, in the north, if I remember correctly. The bear, yeah, the bear in the north. Okay, circumpolar zodiac. So Adonis in the pagan allegory is believed to be killed by the tusks of a wild boar. And JC, the Christ figure, in the Christian allegory, discovers a particular spite against pigs. Isn't that interesting? JC doesn't like pigs. So that's the solar or ecliptical zodiacal projection, right, y'all? Hold on. All right. So Adonis in the pagan allegory is believed to be killed by the tusks of a wild boar. And Jesus in the Christian allegory discovers a particular spite against pigs and is represented to have received 5 wounds, analogous to the 5 winter months, October, November, December, January, and February, during which he, that is the Escheat sun, that is Jesus, is below the line of the equator, right? So the prince of darkness is ruling. And Jesus don't like that. Y'all see it? All right. All right, so 5 wounds, And then the five wounds are the 5 months of winter: October, November, December, January, and February. Those are the 5 wounds. That the bear is also represented by a boar, is also represented by a pig. Okay? And hence the savages, whom we call the particular people of God, who have always been worshipers of Adonis, and who to this day use the word Adonai. Adonai, all right? So go to the Tetragrammaton, where they call it the divine name, Strong's number 3068, Hebrews 3068. You will see that the vowels from Adonai were used to pronounce this word Yahweh or Jehovah. And then go to Strong's number, I think it's Strong's number 10, H110 and H113. All right? And then you go to Strong's number 1180. Where am I? Oh, okay. So page 140. And hence the savages. He calls these people savages, whom we call the peculiar people of God, who have always been worshipers of Adonis, and who to this day use the word Adonai as synonymous with Yahoo. Yahoo is Yahweh. Yahoo is Yahuwah, Jehovah. And all of the many ways you can pronounce the Tetragrammaton, so-called divine name, which we absurdly pronounce Jehovah, have always been distinguished for their aversion of pork. Well, now we know why they don't eat pork. Right? Why? Because in the mythological story, Adonis is what? Wounded and killed. Wounded and killed by a boar, pig, or bear. All right? Let me make sure I got that right. Yeah, that's right. He was killed, right? According to the story. All right. Okay. And the 80th Psalm. And the 80th Psalm to David, that is the true David, the S-U-N son. So the true David is the S-U-N son, y'all. Beautifully describes the ravages of winter. Under this very figure, calling on the S-U-N son to turn and bring back again the comforts of that better weather, which we all at this time so long to see. So here's the 80th Psalms, y'all. The wild boar out of the woods doeth root it up, and the wild beast of the field devour it. That's talking about winter. All right, that's talking about the winter months. Y'all see the wild boar, the pig. Quote unquote, let thy hand be upon the man of thy right hand, and upon the Son of Man whom thou madest so strong for thy own self. All right? That is to say, quote unquote, turn thee again, O Lord God of hosts, show the light of thy countenance. That's the summer months, the kingdom of God, and we shall be whole. All right? So this is the sorrow that people feel when winter is coming, that the author spoke about earlier, all right, a few pages ago. So we shall get the better of these coughs and colds during the winter, right? When the fine weather comes, when the summer weather comes, when spring and summer come. But not till then, when we shall be better able to say, quote unquote, now is the winter of our discontent. Y'all know who made that famous? Martin Luther King. Now is the winter of our discontent. May glorious summer by this son, S-O-N, of York. Okay, y'all? End quote. So let's stop right here. So we're going to pick it back up on page 141. Assalamu alaikum, Islam to all the Moors. Shalom.